The Visitation, the fourth serial of Doctor Who's 19th season, first broadcast in 4 parts to the 15th to the 23rd of February 1982, and written by Eric Saward. Now, in another attempt to get his companion Tegan to Heathrow Airport so she can do her job as an air stewardess, the Doctor and his companions end up going slightly wrong and end up in a wood in September of 1666. The Doctor, played by Peter Davison, and his companions Adric and Malzerius, played by Matthew Waterhouse, Nissa of Traken, played by Sarah Sutton, and Tegan Javanka, played by Janet Fielding, kind of set out to explore the local area and kind of figure things out for themselves, get their bearings. Now, they end up meeting a group of rather unwelcoming villagers, but they're eventually kind of taken in and helped out by a man named Richard Mace, played by Michael Robbins. Now, Mace reveals to them that he had once been a thespian actor. However, this is 1666 and the Black Death and the Plague had recently been rolling through, so there wasn't quite as high demand for theatre actors. With COVID times, we can kind of understand that one. But anyway, he used to be a thespian actor, but now he frankly has to make his living as a highwayman. But he seems fairly good-natured and wants to help them out. The group end up venturing to an old house where weird things appear to have been going on. The house appears deserted. Nobody appears to be there, and they just have a look around. But in doing so, they find out why the house is deserted and that there is an alien race there planning kind of a big invasion force. The big invasion being by the Terileptils, kind of almost like reptilian-like creatures standing up, and they have a big plan that they've kind of infected a group of rats with a more potent version of the virus, of the plague, and they plan to unleash those on London, on the world, in order to decimate the population of Earth and effect their takeover. While the Doctor seems to believe that they're doing this out of desperation, they soon reveal that no, they're fully intent on doing this. I mean, one of them reveals he's got a terrible scar down his, what would be his left side, kind of due to being effectively a fugitive. He was in prison for many years, but now they've got nowhere to go, so they plan to take over our planet. They plan to do that. The Terileptil leader is voiced by Michael Mealer, and they've also got an android that's played a lot of the time by Peter Van Dissel. And they just plan to release the rats and cause a big problem. Now, the Terileptils, I personally think they're due for a return in Doctor Who, because while this is their only appearance in Classic Who, they have been name-dropped a few times since, with the main two coming to mind being that the Terileptils were apparently amongst the alliance that formed to lock the Doctor in the Pandorica in 2010's The Pandorica Opens, and they were also amongst the alien species surrounding Trenzalore in Matt Smith's last episode, The Time of the Doctor, in 2013. So I think that while they have been name-dropped since, I think they're due for a comeback. Now, in terms of what I think their comeback should be like, some people may say that they should probably do with them what they did with the Silurians. Give them a new look that's still kind of reminiscent of their old one, but kind of still distinctly new. I'd say more do with them what you did with the Sea Devils, which is, I kind of half expected them to do with the Sea Devils what they did with the Silurians. I give them a new look, say they're Sea Devils, but make it distinctly new. But they chose to go in the opposite direction and kind of keep the classic design, but update it enough to kind of fit in with Legend of the Sea Devils in 2022. I personally think they should go that way if they can, if they decide to bring back the Terileptils. Because I believe there is possibility with the Terileptils for more stories. But I think that the look that they had back in 1982 is kind of so iconic that I kind of feel like you need, in order for us to fully appreciate the Terileptils, you need to keep that look, but update as much as you can. Okay, new costume, new special effects. I bet we could really do the Terileptils justice. Now, the other thing that does kind of pop up here that is kind of a solution to a Deus Ex Machina problem that Doctor Who would often run into, is that in this particular story, the sonic screwdriver is actually destroyed. And for a while, the Doctor is said to not have a sonic screwdriver after this. It does also explain a line that David Tennant had when he and Peter Davison's doctors crossed paths in Time Crash. It was like, need this? No, I'm fine. Oh, of course, you must went hands-free, didn't you? Hey, I'm the doctor. I can save the universe using a kettle and some string. Just, that is one of the lines he said. And I do kind of see why they did it, because, admittedly, more with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, I did see one complaint that a lot of people had is that a lot of the time the Sonic was being used as a Deus Ex Machina to get her out of trouble. So by destroying the Sonic screwdriver here, it meant the Doctor had to think a bit more on his feet from there here on out. Like, he had to think up innovative solutions. So, destroying the Sonic screwdriver here, while tragic, I do understand why they did it. And if they decided to do something more with the newer series, I could understand it if they wanted to kind of get around that problem. But it also does tie in one particular piece of human history, I think, fairly well here, which is that when the Doctor and co managed to track down the Terileptils, they eventually track them down to a house in the middle of London where Terileptils are planning to use their weapons to take over. However, the Doctor, it ends up with a big struggle, the weapons end up on the floor, and the Doctor also ends up dropping a flaming torch he had been carrying, which ends up destroying the weapons and starting a fire, which obviously seems to be a big problem. To which, as the fire begins to spread, the Doctor asks Mace if they'd like to drop him off someplace, to which Mace goes, you know what, your life is far too exciting for me, I'm going to stay here and help fight the fire, do my bit to help them, which he seems fairly happy to do. And back aboard the TARDIS, Tegan and Adric ask, well, shouldn't we stay to help with the fires? We totally helped start it. The Doctor goes, this is one fire that I think we should let run its course. And it's revealed that this fire started on Pudding Lane, starting the 1666 Great Fire of London, which of course started on Pudding Lane. So I do like how they were able to tie in the Great Fire of London into Doctor Who, give a certain Doctor Who-ish reason for it, and ultimately come up with a fairly decent story. As I said, I do hope the Terileptils will come back into Doctor Who one day, but if we need a bit more time in order to do them justice, I'm happy waiting. They also destroyed the Sonic screwdriver, which they would bring it back eventually, but I can understand why they did it. And I do think The Visitation is an underrated story. I think it's one you should probably check out. Anyway, next up, I'll be taking one step backwards, actually, and reviewing the Doctor Who story Kinda, or Kinder, whatever it's called. Kinder, whatever. I'll let you know how it's pronounced when I actually do review it. And until next time, see ya.